Hi, hello, and good afternoon or good morning to everybody that has joined us so far. We'll start in a few minutes and we'll wait for a few more minutes. Thank you.
Recording in progress.
So I think in the sake of those who have joined us already, we'll start and not waste Yoel's dear time. So I would like to welcome our first speaker for today's session, the last session actually for our Agenda 111 seminar about optimized medical equipment support and maintenance services, and of course procurement. Yoel Ar-Even is the Director of International Division and the Resource Development at the Sheba Medical Center, and he will share with us the basic structure of procurement. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Very much, and appreciate the opportunity to speak with you and to let you know, share the experience from the perspective of Sheba Medical Center. But first, in the few slides, allow me to introduce you to Sheba Medical Center. So Sheba Medical Center is the largest and the most comprehensive medical center in Israel. It contains 4 different hospitals: the acute hospital, the rehabilitation hospital.
I'm sorry, Yoel, it is a little bit difficult to hear you. I think it's probably not only me. Is there any way you can, I don't know, come closer or?
Close. The microphone is just ahead of me here, so I cannot get any closer to the microphone, otherwise you won't see me. I can speak louder if it's okay, but regarding the microphone, this is the best I can do. So again, Sheba Medical Center is the largest and the most comprehensive medical center in Israel and one of the largest in the world. Regarding capacity, we are speaking about 1.6 million clinical visits a year. We have 6 different hospitals and centers, including rehabilitation hospital, OBGYN, pediatric hospital, and acute care hospital, alongside with a huge oncology center and cardiovascular center. So regarding Israeli healthcare and social life, Sheba has a huge footprint on Israelis' day-to-day life. In the last 3 years, Sheba was recognized as one of the top best hospital in the world by Newsweek. And also we are ranking in Forbes Israel. That most of the Israeli well-known physicians are in the Forbes Israel for the best physician in Israel. So today we are going to speak about the challenges of procurement and chain supply. And I would like to start with a few elements and basic acknowledgement that we're going to speak about them later. But first and foremost, we need to understand that we are dealing with a process. It's a process. It's not a one-man show, and it's not a one shot. It's going to take time, and usually it's never-ending story. So every day in the life of hospital, there is some element of the issue that we are going to discuss today that connecting to the supply chain and the procurement chain that cannot stop. So it works like almost like a perpetuum mobile. And it starts with the needs. It always starts with a need. It can be a need for a single nurse in a single hospitalization, one of the hospitalization ward. It can start with a need of some of the technical workers, or it can start with a need that was realized and determined in our yearly analyzing meeting, that we are going to approach a new service or a new treatment that need the response and need the partnership with the procurement because we are going to buy a new machine. So it's a process and it's going on all the year. The second issue that I want to discuss right now, and we will go deeper later, that one of the challenges of the system all over the world is going from manual management to automatic management. I know in some cases it's going to be demonstrate some problem with HR because robots and machines are going to replace human beings. But if we want to be efficient and if we want to face the future, we need to understand that we need to move from manual management to automatic management. Most of the people who are dealing with this issue in Israel are nurses, because nurses are the engine of the hospital, and therefore we need to reduce the wasted time that they are spending on inventory management and use this time to clinical training or clinical work and not waste their time. We need to remember that in the future and sometime in the current present, warehouses and inventory are very, very expensive. Those of you who are suffering from lack of space, we don't want the very valuable space to be kept by inventory. Therefore, the worldwide movement is to shrink inventory at the site and divide or to spread it all over the chain, but you need to control the chain. Of course, we are dealing with expired items. And most of our items, not the logistical items, but medical items and drugs are expired. They've expired time. Therefore, we need to treat them and to manage them very, very wisely. But when we are dealing with chain of procurement or chain of logistics, at the end of the day will bring a medication or will bring a solution, can be a technical solution, can be a material solution, can be a drug. we need to understand that we are dealing in certain level of regulation. The first part of the regulation is always in the Ministry of Health in any country, in any state, and especially in Israel. The Regulation Act of the Ministry of Health regarding procurement and regarding drugs are divided by two entities that belong to the Ministry of Health. The first is the Medical Device Department, mainly with registry of medical devices, and including, when I'm speaking about medical devices, I'm including also MRIs and medical equipment. It can be a small device, like a granula or cannula, where the regulation is very, very low. And I can speak, in the same department is dealing with MRI, the cutting edge MRI machines that has a lot of regulation. And the second regulation entity that usually we are dealing with is the drug department, very equivalent to the FDA that the Americans are well known in the worldwide. Usually will correlate and relate to the FDA approval or the CE approval, but in some cases we would like to go to a different chain of regulations and obligations, especially if it's a local drug or a local device. Then the regulation will be much tougher. And then, of course, we have the overall or the American or CE or the European regulation, which usually in a regular day, taking between a year and two to just to get the response. And again, it depends if it's a drug or equipment. And now in Corona time, was accelerate the response to a few weeks and sometimes a few days to get the first response from the FDA. And of course, from our experience in Israel, on top of it, there is additional regulation. For example, the Standard Institute for Regulation in Israel, mainly when we are dealing with devices that, for example, a wheelchair. So there is a standard for a wheelchair in Israel, and it can go parallel in the Ministry of Health, but also in the for the Standard Institute of Israel regarding the material, the safety, and some other regulation. And in addition, when we are dealing with radiation devices, we need to understand that there is subcommittee on radiation devices that likes to overrule and sometimes to change the decisions because of safety radiation, which is in some cases can be very, very crucial. Of course, we cannot ignore the budget issue, and the Ministry of Health control the budget of this case. You probably understand that we need, or you need to allocate the budget before you go to this process. And in some cases, the Ministry of Finance, for example, in Israel, the Ministry of Finance is controlling and overruling the government law regarding tenders. So if you are playing in the public sector under the government, you need to understand, and sometimes you need to clearly understand the tender law of the specific country, because each country has a different tender laws that you need to follow and obey. Any questions until this time? May I see the faces of the people, or it's not available?
I think that they're having a lot of internet problems.
Okay.
Ghana, but let's see whoever is ready.
Can we have just a feedback that people are hearing me well or with us?
Yes, we are with you and we're hearing you well.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's go back to after we discussed the problems and the regulatories, and we understand who are the main players in this check game. Let's discuss. Let's go deeper into what we supposed to discuss. So we understand and we accept that chain management or procurement management always starts with a need. And as I tried to demonstrate before, it can be, the need can come from a single nurse that need a simple device, or it can be coming from the physician that went to a congress outside, overseas, and saw a technique and want to import it to the country. Or there is a publication in the international publication, or someone went to a specific meeting on a clinical issue and saw a new technique or a new drug. There is always, it always starts with a need. In Israel, it's not enough that you have a need. There is of course, prioritization. And in Israel, prioritizations are managed by the Ministry of Health, and it's called the Basket of Service Committee, which sits every year and define what new technologies and what new drugs and what new treatments will add this year to the basket of services. And if they approve it, then the chain can start work in order to procure it. If they don't or won't prove it for this year, there is zero chance in Israel that you can purchase or buy a technique or drug that wasn't approved or pre-approved by this committee. Of course, clinical and financial subordination, it's crucial to start with, because at the end of the day, if the physicians or if the nurses that at the end of the day are responsible to give this drug or responsible to operate this machine do not believe in this machine, you won't succeed. So again, it's a multifunctional or multidisciplinary pathway that a lot of people are contributed, and we need to understand it, that it's not just the Department of Procurement. They cannot wake up this morning or yesterday and decided that we want to buy a new drug or we want to buy a new machine. It's a process that has a lot of players and a lot of regulations in this game. Let's have a look. It's only a chart of the way we do it. It doesn't matter that this is right or wrong, and this is our way to procure and to buy medical devices. As the largest hospital in Israel, we are self-buyers. We don't need to go through the government. Although smaller hospitals in Israel are obliged to buy through the government agency of medical procurement named Sarel. Probably some of you heard the name Sarel. Because of the capacity, just for demonstration, the capacity of Shiva, it's a little bit higher than all the government hospitals in Israel that purchase through Sarel. Therefore, our procurement management are very strong. It doesn't mean that you will see the same structure when you visited other hospitals or when you explore other hospitals around the globe. And I'm giving you the Shiba example of this. So what we are dealing with, you can see in the here in this layer of the echelon, we have a medical equipment, a very massive and strong arm of medical equipment, and I will go in details very, very soon. We have laboratories because at the end of the day, they need reagents and they need devices. So laboratories have a separate section in the procurement division. We are dealing with a lot of non-medical issues, from IT to office needed, to household equipment, computer. We are buying food for our staff. We are buying food for our patients. We are buying textile. So the non-medical issue regarding, beside the medical issue, is the second largest effort that we are handling here regarding procurement. Medical devices is another device, another arm that deals with mainly with medical technology and medical devices, small devices, but also big devices. And we have a separate arm that deals with pharmacy. Again, pharmacy here, it's a huge effort. I'm not speaking about outpatient clinic. I'm just speaking about inpatient clinic and treatment that related to drugs. Therefore, the pharmacy service is also a big issue here. So just to give you some examples, when we are dealing with medical equipment, it can be anywhere from purchasing a new diagnostic equipment like MRI machines, CT machines, X-ray machines, but also stethoscopes and Doppler and pulse oximeter. All those issues are falling into the diagnostic equipment, that this is part of the medical equipment. And the second group of medical equipment, it's not for diagnostic, it's for treatment, and it can be from ventilation machines, as you can see here, to dialysis machines, to insulin pumps, also for wisdom or to very highly sophisticated hospital beds. Again, treatment equipment that we use for infusion pump, surgical machines, even medical laboratory equipment, and I'm speaking about point of contact. Point of contact, it's a machine that you can use on the word to give a very quick answer and bypassing the process to go to the main laboratory. Usually we use those machines in ICUs and ER, where you need a very rapid and simple answers for gas, blood gas examples, or simple blood example, and you don't have time to waste to go to the main laboratory. POCs, point of contact, it's very well known procedure to get a very quick answer at the ER or ICU. When we're speaking about laboratories, again, mainly is reagents, because reagents are the vast majority of the money that goes in medical laboratories are for reagents, because now most of the companies will give you for free the machine, but charge you a lot for the reagents. And many reagents are used to any subject of laboratory. We need reagents, and you cannot operate laboratory without them. Regarding medical devices, again, it can be anything from a simple stethoscope, gloves, applicators, even drug tests. For now, for Corona, this department is in charge of purchasing for masks, surgical spongettes, any disposable that you need to use in the ER or otherwise in the hospital. those are samples of the medical device. And pharmacy deals with we collect the drugs from the companies. Most of the international companies like Merck, Serono, and others have representatives in Israel. We import the drugs through the import department of these companies and get the procurement directly to our warehouse. In our warehouse, we use a robotic system that divide all the drugs into those, as you can see in the picture. This is the robot. Every night, we load with tons of drugs as a bucket. The robot suck with a very special technique all the buckets of drugs, and he divide them into these drawers. Each drawer here to the side or to the left is a simplified drug. So during the night, you overload the warehouse, the robotic warehouse, and during the day, when the prescriptions are coming from the words into the robot head, you go automatically to the drawers, take out, and here the system goes that the P4, which means the last two put in go first, in order to keep the right timing for the drug. So you first you get out what you get in a few days ago, and those who are very fresh will keep to later on the day. And he put them aside in plastic bags. Each plastic bag has a sticker with the name of the word that this drug belongs to. And not yet, but when we will speak on the future, automatic robot will send them directly to the world. Right now, we still use carriers or couriers, people who are coming to take the drugs and deliver it to the department. But when we reach the end of the presentation, I will speak a little bit about where are we going regarding the future. So this is the structure and of our procurement department, and I try to demonstrate in each big element what is exactly what we are doing. So let's speak a little bit about the tender law, and I know that the tender law and laws are different from country to country, but from our experience, and it's very important to when you deal with procurement to understand the tender law, because each country can put a different obligation and different amount of money. Therefore, I put X dollars because it can change from state to state, but you need to understand and well known and read very carefully the tender law in your country in order to understand what the government is allow you to go and engage without permission, and in what sort of money you need to start to ask for permissions and go to the committee. And each country can define herself obligation and restrictions, but you need to understand that most of the world works under the tender law, and the tender law define exactly how do you need to work when you are publishing international or even national tenders in order to keep things going in the right way. I won't go deeper but there is actually there is engage channels and there is this event, but I want to go just show you the process, because the process is much more important than to understand exactly how the tender law is working. But usually a public tender process start with data analysis. again, it can be from a publication in Nature, or publication in New England Journal of Medicine, or a publication in the local newspaper that shows that there is a new drug in Israel or a new drug in the States. So someone needs to collect and analyze the data. Then usually there is needs analysis, which means you are fronting the physicians or you are fronting the nurses and ask them, okay, what exactly you going to do with this drug or with this new technique or new machine. And this matches our first slide, that it always starts with a need analysis or a need from a department or a need from a physician. Usually in this time, we will do a precondition asking from several. At that time, we can speak to everyone who can offer in the market. It's allowed to speak with them. There is a limit of time to do a precondition asking. And then usually after we collect the analysis, the need analysis, and the precondition, which means asking the local representative of the, let's say, MRI machine, what they have to offer, we are going to a clinical opinion or a clinical evaluation, usually done by a special committee here at Sheba, and you can nominate or to use an external clinical committee, or to establish a clinical committee in your institute. And then we will go to tender publication. Usually we are using we oblige to use 3 or 4 different media channels in order to be transparent enough that everyone can have the opportunity to, of course, if they are qualified enough, to reply to this tender. Usually we will get between 2 to 6 or 7 different answers or different replies, and then we need to do alternatives, go to conclusions, and then we will come to acquisition committee. Acquisition committee, it's an institutional committee in every hospital in Israel, and let's speak about Sheba, that it's independent committee that evaluates the process. They are not evaluating the end point. So it's not their obligation to say if this MRI is good or if this treatment is good or not. They only evaluate the process, which means if you follow all the steps, if you, for example, put the tender in the time, publish it in a well-known newspapers or media, and not just among your friends, that you go to a clinical opinion and you equivalent, and you got some ideas that are in favor, and you heard people that are against, and you make your decision. When you demonstrate that all stops are fulfilled, then the acquisition committee will mark it V and will allow you to continue with the tender process to negotiation, which means now you go into the companies and start to bargain. And this point, the bargaining is usually only by procurement people who was trained, and this is their job on a daily basis, which means that nurses, physicians, and other professionals from the hospital at that point are not transparent. They put their statement along the process, and after the acquisition committee approve, for example, the acquisition committee can ask for hearing, can ask for physicians and nurses to come to give a testimony regarding the process or regarding the need. But when the acquisition committee marks it as a V, then nobody is allowed to speak. Only the special team from the procurement team can start dealing negotiation with the companies. So again, you are asking what is the role of the personnel? What is the role of nursing, the nurses? What is the role of the physicians in this process? And I pay a lot of respect to physicians and nurses because they are the engine who are starting the process and they are the endpoints. They will be the guys who are going to use it. They are very important. As you can see, they approve a new item or the existing item that need to move from supplier to supplier because, for example, they don't like the granula that Teva company is giving them, so they can say, raise a flag and say, listen, guys, the granula that we are using from Teva, it's not good enough. We saw that there is a lot of problems. Please find another solution. Or they can be part of the defined clinical precondition for tenders. For example, the volume of the machine, the size of the machine, any kind of clinical or nursing precondition that they need in order to operate this machine. And of course, we will hear their recommendation and they will support, as I said before. They can, from time to time, they can be called to a hearing in the acquisition committee, and their voice is loud and clear and very important in the equivalent or in the scaling of the technical people and the finance people. The what the clinical people have to say, it's very, very important and very crucial in the process. It's much the same as I demonstrate before, so I won't keep you busy in this. But I want to speak another issue if we have time. And I want to talk to you about suppliers evaluation. Again, this is one of the very, very important missions for those who are dealing with procurement and purchasing, to evaluate the suppliers or to evaluate the vendors. And I can give you, can we later share my presentation with our colleagues?
Of course.
Okay, because in a moment I'm going to show you our supplier evaluation questionnaire, and you may use it if you find it suitable for you. But a process belong and alongside to the process of purchasing, which you already understand that it's 365 days. It's always, every day, we are in a different place in a process, in a huge hospital, but even in a small hospital, every day, it's a day in a process. It's not a particular day that you say, okay, next Sunday we will purchase gloves, or in October 21st, we're going to purchase MRI. It's a process. And if we understand it's a process, we need to understand that it's also a process for our vendors. Therefore, we need from time to time to take a decision to evaluate the suppliers, to evaluate the vendors. And it can be that at the end of the evaluation, the answer will be, yes, go for it. Let's continue to work with this vendor in the next year, or you don't have to do it every year. You can make the decision that you want to evaluate the suppliers every 5 years, or every 2 years, or every 2 months. I won't recommend you to do it every 2 months, but every 1 year or two, I will recommend to evaluate suppliers. Be transparent with them. Let them know that you will evaluate them from time to time. Let them know what will be the topics that you are going to evaluate them, and allocate personnel that do it. Because it's not enough to speak about it, and it's not enough to wait in the end of December for each year and start to evaluate people on December 31st. So again, it's a periodic process that someone from your team need to do it seriously on a daily basis. You can decide if it's every year. You can decide if it's every 2 years or every 5 years. You can even decide that some of the procurement are not evaluated. For example, if something is very, very, if a vendor is only giving you a very basic and imminent and very, very cheap items, you cannot evaluate him like the one who give you every 3 years an MRI machine. So you can decide that, like Pareto, you will go only to the 20% of the vendors that causing you the 80% of expenses. It's really up to you, but I'm truly encouraging you to go into a process of vendor evaluation. And here you can see a sample of the vendor evaluation that we are using at Chiba, and I would be more than happy to send you more and more information if needed. Let's speak a little bit about the future. Where are we going, and where is the future regarding procurement and purchasing for hospitals? So we already started to assemble, not enough because it costs a lot of money, therefore we also in the process. But definitely smart cabinets are the future of small device, but also I would say end users like in the world department or the hospital department. Right now, the cabinets are open and some of them are locked because they are toxic, but everyone from the staff can go and take whatever he wants. This should be stopped. We need to move to a smart cabinet that you should know who opened the cabinet, and you should know what kind of equipment, of what kind of drug was taken from the cabinet. I'm not speaking about people who stealing from you. I'm not speaking about thieves. I'm speaking about managing the inventory, which is very important. So if you start to manage the inventory from the end point, which means from the world that used the paracetamol and took the paracetamol from the cabinet, and when they took the paracetamol or whatever from the cabinet, there is a link of dots that ring until the inventory list updated in the same day. So it's a very rapid, controlled, monitored situation when you need to evaluate your inventory in order to what to order or what not to order, and the chain will go automatically with non-human hand reach from the cabinet in the world till the main computer that deal with the procurement need for the day. The second thing that I want to share with you is robust pharmacies. This is the future. We assemble right now at Chiba the second largest robot for drug delivery in our pharmacy, and we are going to assemble more and more robust solution to deliver drugs even to the patient. And here we are touching even the patient safety issues, because human beings, as human beings, we are making mistakes. Machines usually don't mistake. These are our weaknesses and their strengths. So we will see in the future more and more robust and robot entities. It can be, as here, as you can see in the picture, a robot that go between the patient and deliver the drug, or you can see in the other side automatic pharmacists that can deal themselves with the capacity of an hospital for supply medication on a daily basis. We'll see more and more drones in the service of procurement chain. In Israel, right now, across the country or going from my house to Tel Aviv in the rush hour can take me an hour. When you need an immediate response, and remember that I told you that in parallel, we decided that to split the inventory and not keep it all the eggs in the same basket, especially if you split your inventory, or even if you say to the vendors, keep the inventory for me in your warehouses and supply to me on demand. We will need, very soon we will need to use drones because the traffic is hilarious. But again, drones are more safe than driving a car in Israel and will go quicker to supply what you need. But as well as automatic shipping and automatic transport. So this is the future, cost reducing, safety patient increasing, and be more efficient. And I think with this slide, I will conclude and I will open it to any questions.
So I have a quick question with your permission. Is there any specific aspect that you have to take into account when you're building a hospital in terms of maintenance of the services, of the equipment or any services given?
Yes, there are several issues that you need to encounter when you are building a new service, a new hospital, a new clinic, new something. And I will refer mainly to the logistics issue that you need to deal when you want to establish or build. So first is that the warehouses, first you need to make the decision if the warehouses are in the same campus or not. In some countries, you won't find warehouses for any kind of equipment inside the campus. That can be in a very strong countries that the chain delivery system is very strong. And then you just, there is the logistics, there is just in time, and there is just enough. Usually hospitals will take the just enough, which means I will keep the inventory in my place because I cannot rely on the others. In some places, you move from just enough to just in time, which means I will call the drug, I will call the equipment when I need it. So you need to evaluate if it you will take the just enough or just in time. And it's completely different. If you will take the approach of just enough, it means that you need to allocate place and build warehouses. Some of them should be under refrigerating. Some of them are for small items and some of them are for big items. Then you need to allocate personnel that deal with maintenance and look on the expiring day. So it's a huge logistic effort that you take upon yourself when you will say, okay, it will be just enough. If you are using just in time, you may pay more, but you won't need to go into huge warehouses or storage to build in your facility. You won't deal with refreshing of drugs. You won't deal with refreshing of ink for the printers, you just pick up the phone and say, I need an ink. And then a car or a drone or a robotic vehicle will come to you just in time to give you what you need. If you decide to have your own system like Shiba, and it's not because of ideology, it's because the way the system in Israel was built. We have a huge warehouses and inventory that, you know, if we can in the same day we can put there a clinic. Of course, it will be much benefit for us to put a clinic instead of put a warehouse. But right now we are shifting from a fully self-sustained regarding procurement system into more sharing, or we call it consignatsia. Consignatsia means that the inventory belongs to us, we pay for it, but the vendor keep it in his warehouses, and upon call, bring it to Shiba. For example, in stents, what we put in the heart, in the vessel, and in some cases of the catheterization, very, very expensive equipment, we are using consignation services, which mean we call upon the device, and there is an SLA that the company is signing with us that in some cases in minutes, in some cases in hours, they need to supply it to Shiba.
Thank you so much. Edwin, would you like to raise some more questions?
Yes, thank you, Maria. We're taking questions, so if you have any questions, we would like to hear from you now. Thank you, everyone, for joining. We know and we acknowledge the fact that most of your projects are ongoing, and it has taken quite a bit for you to join us. We appreciate that. Thank you. Any questions from anyone? We could also connect you to Shiba if you want to engage further with them. They have an amazing international office who's looking to work with partners outside Israel. So we could facilitate that too.
Absolutely. It's my division, and I'm more than happy to assist and support as much as we can in the future.
Yes. Okay, I think, Maria, if any questions come up, we can forward it to Yoel privately. You can go ahead.
So thank you very much, Yoel, for being with us today. And of course, we'll be glad to share the presentation with the participants, if you could forward it to me. And thank you so much again for taking part of your time to join us.
My pleasure, and all of you keep healthy and safe. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
So our next speaker will be Dr. Mosenzon. He hasn't joined yet. It will take about 3 minutes for him to join, since we ended up a bit early.
I think he's joined now.
Dr. Mosenzon, are you with us?
Here I am.
Hello, and thank you
Hello.
very much for joining us today. Quick introduction, Dr. David Mosenzon he's the Deputy Director General of Meuchedet Health Services, and he will be discussing with us a bit about telemedicine. Do you have a presentation, Dr. Mosenzon?
Yes, I'll put it on. Okay. Share screen with you. A minute. That's it. Can you see it? Yes.
Yes, loud and clear.
So thank you for the opportunity to talk today with you. And what I'm going to talk is not exactly what we call telehealth, but I want to talk to you about the hybrid medicine, which I think is much more than telehealth. It includes the telehealth or the telemedicine, as you spoke with it before. So this is an opportunity for experience with you the hybrid healthcare system during the pandemic of COVID-19. And actually, the word hybrid medicine, I started with it in 2011 exactly. And in Meuchedet, you can see we did it for the last 3 years, and we were already ready for the pandemic earlier than 2020, as you can see in a few minutes. And what I'm going to talk today is our experience. First of all, this is Israel today, and it's I choose to start with this picture because that's a new normal life. That's Tel Aviv today, and it's so different from the picture from last year with the empty streets and closed restaurants. And that brings us to a few chapters I want to talk to with you today. And I would like to try to tell the story of Meuchedet, COVID-19, and the years 2020 and 2021 in 3 chapters. And the first one is the overview of Meuchedet. The second one is before the pandemic, and then we will go facing the pandemic. And I have to start, and let me start with a quick overview of Meuchedet. Meuchedet is the 3rd largest HMO in Israel, providing a full range of medical services to about 1.3 million patients all over the country. And these services includes about 250 clinics and medical centers nationwide, the Misgav Ladach Hospital in Jerusalem, Medica, which is a network of private hospitals. And as you can see, more than 3,000 physicians and specialists, about 1,000 nurses, 1,000 providers and other health professions, and a total of 8,000 employees at all. And Meuchedet is the HMO with the most advanced computer system in Israel, as much as I know, because Meuchedet maintains a unified electronic medical records, EMR or EHR, that contains a medical history of its patients since 1995, which is more than 25 years so far. And there's not such many places in the world with such history or medical history. Meuchedet provides advanced digital services for patients, access to information and medical records. And that includes advanced smartphone application and extensive websites. Let's move now to chapter 2, and that's before the pandemic. And that's when actually we created the hybrid healthcare system, which, as mentioned before, wasn't created for the pandemic, but we were ready. And actually in December 2019, just before the pandemic spread, we launched our groundbreaking hybrid healthcare enterprise, which was a disruptive innovation in the Israeli healthcare system. So what is hybrid healthcare? What's the difference from telemedicine? Hybrid healthcare is an innovative model that implemented for the first time in Israel and internationally. It offers an omni-channel customer experience that extend beyond the clinic door. And that's very special because we know how we can to give best medical practice while the patient is in my room, in my clinic. When he goes out at home, it's something else. We lose our connection and just hope he's doing what we tell him to do. So our system combines and integrates the new digital technologies with Mouchedet unique, and actually always are unique community medicine services. And I want to mention, it's not replacing it, it's above. So we have the digital technology and the unique, what's called the unique community medical services all around the country. And that's the medical or the community that we saw during that pandemic. And actually we saw it increases patient engagement and involvement in care. It improves communication with doctors and other staff and creates a new service experience. So how does a hybrid healthcare system works? And first of all, I have to mention and say it again, we maintained the possibility for traditional office visits. That stays, it's not going anywhere and should stay because there are some or many cases that a physician must see the patient physically. So that stays. On top of it, we added the online request. We added the online request service for unsynchronized communication with the provider for prescriptions, referrals, and letter of approval, for instance. And on top of it, we added the online visits, what you call the telehealth. Altogether, that's a hybrid connection. The next stage was to add the system to support for the physicians, for doctors, with support tools for the doctors on one hand, like decision support system tools, AI, for example. And for the other side, the patient side, we added the remote medical devices that used by the patients, such as a remote urine test or the Tito Care devices. We were talking with you earlier, which and I will elaborate more later too. So altogether, the omni-channel communication, that's a hybrid healthcare with the patient side and the physician side to support. And I want to say again, hybrid healthcare covers the entire therapeutic cycle. It's not only a digital visit, it's all or entire therapeutic cycle that includes, it starts with the easily scheduling, so easily scheduling an appointment online, then a digital then a digital waiting room before the appointment. And I want to mention that the wait gives the possibility to upload and add documents before the visit begins. Throughout the visit, the provider has a full access to the electronic medical records, the EMR, and the provider can create digital referral and prescriptions. And we came full cycle with the online pharmacy services that actually delivers directly to the home. That's altogether what I call the entire therapeutic cycle, and it's not only digital visit or telehealth. It's entire cycle. And for being sure that you understand the difference between our system, the hybrid healthcare, and telehealth at all, I want to mention just 5 unique features of the hybrid healthcare. The first feature is that the visit is with your own patient, your personal medical provider or physician who is familiar with you and can easily spot changes in your conditions. That's the first feature. The second feature, and that screenshot shows how the video platform, you can see it here with the patient on the screen, was embedded into our EMR. That's Mukhelt EMR. And you can see it's exactly inside and embedded into the EMR. And information from the visit can be documented directly in real time as the visit progresses. What you can see here is the patient, and here the physician can see himself too. And that's part of the visit, of the digital visit, and the physician stays in the same page of the EMR and can write during the visit as in the clinic with the patient that's physically there. That's a second feature or unique feature. The third one, the third unique feature is because it is your own physician, you have the possibility to choose between an online visit and between an office visit when it's necessary. Actually, it's a clinical decision. When you should examine it physically, you can come to your office, to your clinic. When it's not, you can just do it remotely. That's a hybrid. And fourth unique hybrid feature, that's the schedule. The physician can see in this new single schedule that integrates online and office visits throughout the workday. You can see here that during it's Hebrew, but you can see part of the visits are online and parts are physically in clinic. And that's a new schedule of the 21st century of the hybrid medicine, of all the hybrid physicians. And the fifth, very important features, which I started from day one, I want to keep it simple or very simple. And it was our motto all along. So the digital visit happens in 3 easy, intuitive steps for the patient throughout our app. The first one is online scheduling. The second one, digital waiting room with the possibility to upload documents. And Then the online visit itself, very simple and with one click. And this slide I like the most, and I have to tell you that it's this slide is 3 years old. You can see it. I wrote it down, and I can proudly say that we were somewhat prophets. And when we presented this program initially in 2018, using this original slide, you can see that the need to continue to provide full services during times of emergency. And though we had other emergencies in mind in our country, especially, the need to reduce waiting room crowding was for other reasons, and the need to avoid spreading of diseases, as you can see here. We even use the mask in the pictures. Little did we know. You can see the mask from 2018, original slide. And altogether happened to be in 2020 during the COVID pandemic. We had emergency, we had to reduce physical load in the clinic, and we had to go with mask everywhere and to reduce the exposure of infectious disease. And that's a historical picture. We now arrive to the third chapter of our story. When COVID-19 arrived, actually Muhed was ready. We were all facing a never before seen medical event, at least not for the past century. And we were faced with many unknown variables. Such a situation is called VUCA. It's volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous conditions. And we were facing actually in 3 fronts in the war against the COVID-19. The first was treating of the COVID-18 patients, and we had already about 200,000 patients in Muhedet that we were taking care of for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. The second one is treating 1.3 million patients, part of the time locked at home. And we have a staff coping with the mobility and quarantine of doctors and medical staff. Actually, we have the fourth front, which was a vaccination front, but it's another story. Next slide. For the first front, treating of 98% of COVID-19 patients in the community, in the homes or hotel facilities, actually preventing the collapse of hospital services, such as we happen to be in Italy, for example. So only 2% of our patients had to go to hospitals, and 98% of them were treating at home. To that end, we developed in no time a state-of-the-art dashboard for regularly updated information. As you can see, the same technology was seen when on one day we had 350 patients to treat, and in another day, you can see when you have more than 12,000 patients in Muhedet. A comprehensive dedicated team was created to follow up, monitor, and create and actually care for our COVID-19 patients, set in a new call center, set up in record time. That's actually the place. And most of the services and monitoring is provided remotely on the hybrid healthcare platform I was talking before. But when necessary, house calls are made when you have to check them. That's a hybrid solution, the combination. That was only the first front. The second front, continuing to provide routine medical service to 1.3 million existing patients. And you can see that since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic in January, February 2020, and until now, data visits have increased by 950%. And today, the 30% of the visits are online. See how it jumps between January, February 2020 to April or March, April 2020. We have the largest array of hybrid doctors and therapists. Up to date, a total of 1,400 providers registered for the service. It includes family physicians, pediatricians, and other medical specialists, dietitians, nurses, social workers, and psychologists, for instance. And as you can see, the entire campaign was presented by our own real staff members, all of the patients, all the doctors and staff you saw during my presentation. You can see that that our staff members. As you can see, we provide hybrid medicine to all age groups. We discovered that even patients 85 years old and above use our digital platform to access online visits. And the war on COVID-19 goes on, continuing to provide medical care to patients requires us to be flexible and develop new digital services quickly and efficiently using the Amwell platform that the digital service the USA were using, such as launching emergency hybrid admissions, as you can see here, staffing by family physicians and pediatricians, enabling us to give a medical coverage of 24/7 service, including weekends and night shift. We developed the hybrid maternity care, which provides end-to-end digital service for pregnant women throughout the entire pregnancy by our own OBGYN and maternity nurses. And you can see you have the full cycle by the hybrid medicine. We launched this year the Title Hybrid, which is a device that remotes monitoring and testing during the visit with a physician while at home using a Taito hybrid hardware to check ENT, ear, nose, throat, temperature, lungs, heart, and we have many more products in planning. The third front, coping with the morbidity and quarantine of doctors and medical staff. And staff mobility and quarantine requires special adjustments, including flexible staffing and remote patient management, taking advantage of homebound medical staff members. Here just a few examples: a backup system to fill in for sick providers, or digital signature to enable medical or medicine prescriptions from home. And even quarantined doctors, as a result of suspected exposure, already in the hybrid system, continues working out of the home. So my conclusions that COVID-19 has served as a catalyst, as you can see, and an innovation accelerator for the hybrid medicine. And thanks to the introduction of hybrid medicine by Meuchedet, we, well before the outbreak of the pandemic, hybrid healthcare has proved to be a game changer in Meuchedet's successful fight against the COVID-19. That's where we are today. And thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mosinzon. There's 2 minutes for a quick question if someone wants to raise anything. If not, I will thank Dr. Mosinzon for joining us today and making room for our quick talk today in a busy day. So thank you very much again for joining us this small but qualified forum. And we're hoping for many cooperations in the near future.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So moving forward to our third session, I would like to invite Alon from Philips to join us and present Philips Israel.
Hi everyone, I'm adjusting my video, so I'll be joining you in a second. Thank you so much for having us in this fourth meeting. I would like to thank the organizers, the Embassy of Israel, INATRA, and SEED Israel, which we are very proud to be part of. I would like, in the few minutes that I have, to share some insights on Philips.
Alon, it's a bit loud in there. Could you maybe? It's a bit loud in there. Okay.
I know I'm in a public place, so bear with me. It's a hospital here, so I thank. So if it's manageable, I hope, and if not, please, I ask for your apologies. Let me just start by sharing my presentation. Maria, is there any financials. I need to share the presentation because I cannot see that.
I think you're supposed to be able to do that, but if not, I'll just make you a co-host.
So till we solve this technical problem, I'm basing my short introduction on the fact that some of you or many of you know Philips and what we do. We are a global healthcare company in more than 150 countries, including operated in Ghana for many years. Our vision is to reach 3 billion people, to improve their healthcare until the year of 2030, while within this number, 400 million are calculated from underserved areas, including Sub-Saharan Africa. So this is in the vision of Philips, a very important part of the world, or part of our vision. Now, what we are emphasizing on Philips, and I will touch mainly what we do in Philips in Israel, that will reflect on what Philips do in all over the world. We are trying to address a quadruple aim of care, not necessarily develop or innovate our healthcare systems and solutions on the fact that we have the top edge hardware or performance in technical meaning, but that it serves the customers and the users' goals, which is first to improve patient experience by improving patient experience of care, to get a better health outcome and not only technical outcomes. So it doesn't mean anything if we have positive health, if we have a good resolution or good imaging, but we have to optimize according to what our customer needs. And also to improve the staff experience, the clinician, the radiologist, the technician in the different levels of the hospital, to address both the operational part and the planning part and maintenance. And of course, with the increasing cost of care, we are trying to lower this cost of care. So in Philips Israel, we are focusing on with different divisions, part of the global Philips. We are focusing first of all on DI, which is named digital imaging. Our main site in Haifa, north of Israel, is a manufacturing center for computed tomography and nuclear medicine, what we call AMI, as well as detection technologies and clinical solutions. More than 20 years now in Israel, and more than 40 years of experience in the same site. Also, we are gradually becoming a solution provider, namely that we don't only focus on hardware of the scanners or the capital equipment, but on the software that provides services and improves the usage of those scanners, both for Philips and also developing for multi-vendors. So in this regards, I can mention ICAP, which is our imaging, compression, and processing division that develops software for all those scanners, and our division of PACS, Risk and Heat, which was one of the latest Philips acquisition in Israel. Currently, we have more than 1,800 people working with Philips Israel, and it grew in the last few years, in both organically from our core manufacturing activities, but also from M&A. So I'm happy that you have also the opportunity later to see startups from Israel, because Philips, we are also involved in this ecosystem and even investing in some of the startups with our innovation hub called Samara. In addition, we are providing for various of the hospitals wards and departments in connected care, in emergency care, on cardiology, oncology, to build a better pathway based on genomics and special tools based on big data and AI technologies. I will just mention that we have also a direct cross-border experience with Ghana. If you are aware of the University of Legon, University of Ghana Medical Center, so there we, together with the partner based in Israel, we provided assistance for the different hospitals departments, including only this month installed an MRI 1.5 and a cath lab of our Azurion to be very operated very soon in Ghana, which we are very excited from. This project was started in 2015, and now we are finalizing that with the partner, the integrator, and with the end user. I would like also to highlight that in Philips, in Ghana, we have an existing Philips operation, subsidiary of Philips, and we have the capacity to support the different systems and solutions delivered to the customers in the entire country. So this is also very important to emphasize that we are there for the long term, and we are committed to the success of the Ghana healthcare system, the government and the private sector. So we are excited from that Ghana 111 program. And in this short time, and I'm sorry for the technical reasons that I couldn't share the slides, but I will be very happy to share it later on. I would like also to acknowledge Paul, my colleague within this call. He's part of also the international key accounts management team. So we have a diversity of team, both from the manufacturing side and the market side, to support you. I invite you to reach out to us either by the organizers or directly, and happy to get any feedback this time or later on. And again, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Alon. It will be great if you could send us the presentation so we can share it with the participants and have your contact details as well. And if you can stay with us for further questions or anything, please be welcome. If not, we're moving forward.
I can take a couple of questions if anybody wants. So, happy to take any question.
Any questions to Alon? If not, you can just leave your email address as Oren did, and then we'll move it forward to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alon. I would like to invite Oren from Our Air next.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maria. Pleasure to meet you. Sorry that I sent the email right now. I wanted to do like a double click and somehow I just sent it. So that's my email in general for contact afterwards if it's interested for you. I would introduce myself. My name is Oren. I'm operating as the director of ORA in EMEA, Europe, Middle East, and Africa. And I will explain in a moment about our company and what we're doing nowadays. Just a second. Can you see the screen that I'm sharing right now? Great. So we are a company that basically developed the world's smartest air purification system, a all-in-one standalone solution for air purification. As a company, we founded in 2018, started as a startup Israeli-based company. In about 1 year ago, we went to sales in July 2020. In this pretty short period of time, we managed to penetrate to many countries, more than 50 countries worldwide, operating with hundreds of partners, mainly in the B2B and B2G channel. It's unfortunate to admit it, but the Corona pandemic was very good in our aspect to our topic, and it gave us the boost and the ability to penetrate very easily to new markets. About 3 months ago, we went to IPO. We are now a public company listed in the stock exchange in Tel Aviv. So you can also see our details and information in the website as well. Today, when we're talking about indoor air pollution, we're seeing it was global public emergency way before the Corona pandemic started. And the Corona pandemic really educated the market regarding air quality awareness and air quality solutions in general. I think we're seeing that it's not a question mark anymore, but rather an exclamation mark. What we developed is a standalone product, a device that gives the holistic solution for air quality. We're attaching it on a wall or a ceiling. It's connected to electricity and paired by Wi-Fi, and it will operate for 4 different steps. First step is detection and real-time measurement. OAir is measuring real-time indoor and outdoor air quality parameters. The rationale behind the measurement is that we would like to understand the origin of the problem before we provide an actual solution. So after we're understanding real-time the origin of the problem, we are jumping to the second phase, which is the OAir Enterprise. By OAir Enterprise, we are providing the ability for the business partner to integrate hundreds of OAir devices and see real-time the indoor and outdoor air quality. In each room, you have implemented a device inside. Let's take, for an example, a hotel or a school, for example. They have the ability to integrate all the devices in all the classrooms and see real-time measurement, the indoor and outdoor air quality. So the third phase is our unique filtration and disinfection method. I do not want to drill down so much into it. I will just mention that we have 2 listed patents over here. One is on the ray filter, which take all the particles, dust, and pollen by a HEPA filter with 2 additional layers on the top of it. One is a carbon layer that absorbs gases and bad smell that caused by fungus and molds, an antibacterial layer that destroys actively viruses and bacteria. This is one patent. We have 4 lights of UVC, ultraviolet type C, that by the exposure are destroying viruses and bacteria. And another patent is a sterilizer, a biopolar ionization technology, the ability to regenerate negative and positive ions that getting on spikes of viruses, bacteria, fungus, and molds, and by that, changing the atom component and deactivate them. You can see here a reduction of Petri plates. It shows it very well. We just mentioned that we are registered in the US EPA, Environmental Protected Agency. We're currently working also on FDA in the US. We had a lot of clinical trials that we've done with our partners in Sheba Medical Center, which is one of the 10 top leading hospitals in the world, Ministry of Defense in Spain, and the Biological Institution in Brazil. Regarding coronavirus, I do know it's important nowadays. I will just mention that besides the current sheet that I'm now showing you, the slide itself, 2 days ago, we published in the stocks that we had a very comprehensive laboratory test on the SARS-CoV-2, particularly in aerosol, in actual room. We found out that we are capable of disinfecting the SARS-CoV-2 by 99.99%. After 10 minutes, the product is operating. It's a peer-reviewed scientific paper, and it's backed up with many different approvals. We'll be very happy to share it with you as well if it's one of your interests. The fourth part, in my perspective, is the most important part. It's the fact that we are an IoT product. We are a smart air purifier. So we are measuring real-time indoor and outdoor air quality parameters. We are analyzing the data and purify the air accordingly. And eventually we are visualizing for the end passenger the air quality by different platforms, whether it's an application, a QR code, or an Aura Enterprise. We are suitable everywhere. And I can tell you that when we built the list, for example, on where we are suitable, so we fought on the very regular stuff like office buildings, hotels, education institutions, but somehow one of our biggest deals was with the karaoke organization in Japan. We've installed devices in karaoke rooms, and this is one of our top best deals we had. So we're just understanding how every indoor environment today is relevant. And I'm not sure about the culture of the Ghanaian people, but I believe that you can understand by yourself what is the relevant indoor environment for you. So you can see here several use cases. I will go through it quickly. Education institutions, we won a tender a few months ago in Cambridge, Massachusetts, in the US. We've integrated 1,000 ORI devices in municipalities, schools, and universities. You can see how it looks like exactly. Hotels and hospitality. Hilton is an example of one of our clients that we work with. You can see different implementation all over the world. There's Taiwan here, Netherlands, and the US. Healthcare centers. So Shiba is not just one of our partners, but also serves as one of our clients. You can see here different installation that we've done there as well. And this is the main things. Shortly, I would like just to jump for a quick demonstration. If I have time, Maria, do I have 1 minute more?
Just exactly 1 more minute. And then conclude.
That would be great. I don't need more than that. So I will not drill down. I will just show you the platform. Just let me know that you're seeing the web platform. This is how exactly it looks like. Every business customer receives this kind of platform. We're seeing here the outdoor air quality in our offices here in Tel Aviv. You can see it's 58 out of 500, which is moderate. In general, air quality stands between 0 to 500. 500 stands for the poorest air quality and 0 for the best air quality. Temperature, it's pretty hot here in Israel. Pollen levels, and you can see all the devices integrated inside our platform. If I'm going to one of the devices, let's jump to Zamia Coconut, for example. This is the room names, okay? It's not the actual planet. So you can see the air quality is 21 out of 500. Different parameters that we are measuring real time. You have the due date, when do we need to change the ray filter, and it's connected to Wi-Fi, meaning the information is real time, is validated. I will just finish and say that on the section called devices, we have a QR code for each device. So if I'm downloading the QR code, by having this kind of QR code, this is how we're doing B2B2C, meaning that people in the bus, in the hotel, in the restaurant, they do not know what is this OR device, if the air quality is good or not. They do not know what it stands for. They can just scan the QR code and by that get all the information. It's not just about purifying the air, but also about increasing the knowledge and information about the quality in general. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Oren. You can write to Oren by the email he left in chat, and we'll share you the presentation as well if you send it to me.
Sure, will do.
And then we'll continue up to Nir Shavit from Silverman.
Hi, good afternoon. Can I share my screen? Okay, so you can see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. How do I remove this? I hope you can see only the screen. So, so let's start about who is Zilberman Technologies. Zilberman is an Israeli company that produce medical gas pipeline systems. The company established over 70 years back here in Israel. And since then until this moment, we manufacture all the equipment here in Israel. Of course, Israel is our backyard, but a part of being active here in Israel, we export to many countries, maybe over 50 countries. as mentioned before, also for us, the Corona gave a boost, and from a very gray field, the medical gas pipeline system became the most important, one of the most important aspects in hospitals. We saw what can happen when people have no oxygen, or where the oxygen ends, and the idea of the system, of the medical gas pipeline system, is to provide oxygen and other gases to the patients. Of course, as all other medical device, we are all the products are CE marked for medical device. The directive now is a medical device regulation, and the products are compliant with international standards. Many people do not understand what is a medical gas pipeline, so there is a nice sketch of an hospital which can give a good idea. So this is a typical picture of a hospital. What is a medical gas pipeline system? Is everything that connected the main supply, either it is inside cylinders or liquid oxygen, to the patient staying here on the bed or on the operating table. So basically what we are doing, we are manufacturing all the system from the manifold system all the way to the patient, including pendants in critical departments, bedded units, power columns, alarm panel, which intend to alert when any gas will decrease or increase above its level, valve boxes, and everything which related to the system. And of course, we are providing the main supply system, air system, vacuum, and scavenging. Of course, the medical gas pipeline system is a very unlike new technologies. It's a very mechanical based segment, you can say. It's part of the infrastructure, and it's very the infrastructure is not something that change very often. However, where possible, we try to bring the advanced technology of which is very popular in Israel, and if it is with the touch panels, which can give you a online picture of the medical gas, send it to mobile, and make all the maintenance very easy. The bedded units, which you can find in each, again, not today, but hopefully in the future, in any healthcare clinic, because this is the most reliable and safe way to provide gas to the patients. Again, as mentioned earlier, the pendants, which are designed for critical departments, and everything that connected the medical gas pipeline to the patient. Again, these are some pictures from installation here in Israel, but we have again huge experience, and maybe over thousands hospitals all over the world, from Australia to Latin America, where we installed our equipment in the past 70 years. Are there any questions?
Any questions to Nir?
I will also leave my my email address. If maybe one important thing which I forgot, we did install hospital in Ghana. It was I forgot its name. I think the university is before I joined. So there is a full installation in one of the hospital in Accra, and
It's the Lagon Hospital, the Lagon University Hospital.
Lagon University Hospital. So there is a real demo where you can see the equipment.
Thank you very much, Nir. For any questions, Nir will leave his address in the chat. And if you'd like to share the presentation, please feel free. Moving forward to Eitan Medical, not sure who will be presenting. Is it Gil or Estelle?
One second. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak today. Can you hear me? Because I think you can't see me for some reason.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Okay, so in any case, I'd like to share a presentation and hope that the video will recover. So I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my presentation on a wide screen?
Yes.
Can you see my presentation?
Yes, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So my name is Gil Kubi and I'm responsible for global sales in Eitan Medical. Eitan Medical is an Israeli company focused on manufacturing, developing, and selling infusion solutions. We work in 26 different countries around the globe, and therefore we hold certificates and authorizations to sell in those countries. I will mention the FDA certificate, CE certificate. We work in Canada, in Australia, in Taiwan, all around the world. We're MDR certified. And our flagship product is the Sapphire Multi-Therapy. It's an infusion pump, an ambulatory infusion pump that you can see here on the right-hand side of the screen. It is a multi-therapy infusion pump, meaning that it has different administration modes that allow the usage of the pump in different wards within a hospital. Just very quick overview and different examples of the wards that we work in, hospitals. So I can mention neonatal ICUs, labor and delivery with our epidural pump. We provide chemotherapy. We work in operation rooms, TPN, which is nutrition, blood and blood products, pediatrics, etc., etc. So it means that it's very diverse. I'll get into detail in a few slides. We also work in different ambulatory out-hospital scenarios, like you can see here on the right-hand side of the slide. Clinics that provide different medications and treatments, in hospices, home care scenarios, and in elderly care homes around the world. Just a little bit about the different types and the segmentation within the infusion pump industry. So you can divide infusion pump segmentation by volume that is delivered to the patient, by the size of the device, and by the function that it allows, and what exactly it could be used for. So the Sapphire could fit to the following categories. Within the volume segment, we are considered an LVP, a large volumetric pump, meaning that we can provide large volumes in addition to small volumes, but also get up to 1 liter of infusion, which allows us to be active in chemotherapy and TPN usages. In addition, we're an ambulatory pump, meaning that we are small, very dynamic. The pump weighs 420 grams. It could move from one ward to another with the patient when he's getting ready to an operation, within the operation room, and afterwards in post-operation scenarios. And in addition to that, it allows us to be used in outside the hospitals, in home care, in ambulances, in medicine helicopters, etc., etc., etc. We are not a stationary pump. And regarding the functionality, we are both a specialty pump and a regular continuous pump that just allows you to monitor the infusion that is provided. Under specialty, excuse me, I'll go back. Under specialty, we are very dominant in pain management, meaning analgesia, epidural and PCA, patient-controlled analgesia, and under TPN. Regarding the main features, the most interesting specifications I'd like to talk about, we don't have a lot of time, so I'll just mention that the Sapphire is considered a very safe infusion pump with plus minus 2.5% of accuracy. It is very simple to use, very easy to learn to use and to train. It is very quick from the minute you want to start a medication until you are able to do it. And it is very cost effective, both in the service that it requires, which is very low, and the general low cost of ownership. That's about it. I think I've finished my 6.5 minutes. I'll be happy to answer any question that you'll have.
Thank you so much, Gil. Any
Pleasure.
questions? It was really quick, so we have time for one question. If not, moving on to ULog.
Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for your
Hi,
time.
Dr.
And
Welcome.
thank you. And can you see my presentation now? No. Yeah, is it visible?
Yes.
Beautiful. So I'm Amit Lavi, founder and CEO of QLab Technologies, an Israeli-based high-tech company that is aiming to provide process visibility to healthcare. And one of the greater issues in healthcare management is the ability to get proper information regarding everything, all the processes in healthcare, and most of the healthcare institutions will have a large number of processes. And in reality, most of the computing power in medicine in general goes towards either EMR, the electronic medical record, or ERP, the money flows within the system, whereas 60 to 90% of the data is completely unmanaged. And the implication is huge. And right now, according to a recent publication, 25 to 30% of healthcare cost is going to waste because of the lack of information and the inability to manage accordingly. We provide healthcare visibility that starts with process visibility. We believe and we support processes that will enable hospital managers to see what happened, all the little dots and action points across healthcare, in medical and nursing, quality control, maintenance, engineering, and the derivative is equipment and inventory location. And the system enables hospitals and healthcare organization as a whole to be able to track and locate capital equipment, medical equipment, to closely monitor stock and supply chain, And as a result of all these data, to determine the state, is the system healthy, is the hospital all right, is the operating room in working order, is there a huge waste in this or that area. The solution itself is based on fairly simple technology. We mark equipment in either QR codes to just enable users to interact with the equipment, or active transmitting Bluetooth tags. The users use our QLog app to report their actions. It can be a nurse reporting a clinical event. It can be a technician recording either a break or a regular scheduled maintenance, or a cleaner reporting a device being cleaned. The locating devices, the beacons, can track equipment, and the manager at the end can get the results, the visual representation of the processes that have happened or haven't happened in the healthcare system as a whole. The topology is very, very simple, and the whole solution is based on cloud technology. Users interact with their home brought phones, mobile phones, so no capital investment required. And the nurses and the technicians and the operators in general throughout the system will perform their daily tasks, but report them instead of using pen and paper, or not report them at all, report the procedures and the action and the stock action and so on to the cloud, and the manager is able to access these pieces of information to create a bigger picture. While the staff members use the application interacts passively with Bluetooth tags that are marking equipment, and they can create a real-time locating services that is not requiring capital investment in tracking equipment. I will quickly go through two case scenarios that are very relevant to the African market. One of the solutions was implemented recently in sub-Saharan Africa, and that's the ability to track supply chain. And we've had the opportunity to work with an NGO that provided COVID-19 vaccinations to a country in Africa, and they were very concerned that a large amount of the medication that was shipped from France was missing at the end of the process, and normally there's very little monitoring for the supply chain process. And we put a QR code on the box that needs to be shipped, and a $1 worth of transmitting Bluetooth tag inside the box. And once the box is arriving to the dispatch center, it is scanned by the operator who dispatches it, and the manager can get a notification. And further down the track, as the box is shipped to Africa and lands in the warehouse, the beacon is picked up by a detector that is a mobile phone of an operator in the warehouse, and the manager can get a report on that. And even further down the track, as the box is shipped to a remote clinic that has very little infrastructure, the local nurse can scan the barcode, the QR code of the box, and then again, the manager will get a notification that the box has arrived to its destination. And even further down the track, the clinician is providing the medication to specific patients, can track the process of giving medication to specific patients, including the batch, the identification of the patient, so on and so forth. And hence, with minimal expense, the whole process of the whole supply chain is closely tracked and is totally transparent. The second case scenario I would like to present is regarding resuscitation service. That is a service that is a must-have in every hospital. And normally this resuscitation, and again, I'm assuming that most of you have to do with resuscitation services. It is a by law service, and it requires regular checkups and stocking and tracking and so on, and quality control. Normally it is done using, at best, pen and paper, and we implement an automated solution based on a mobile application that immediately provides all the data and knowledge. And in the hospital, we have implemented this solution with improved compliance from very low normally below 40% to roughly 98% compliance within weeks, with significant savings and improved quality in care. This solution can be implemented to virtually any process in healthcare, including stock management, quality control, patient flow, and everything that is not purely clinical, and create a huge cost saving and improvement. And I'm very glad to say that we are now expanding and hopefully will be starting our journey towards the Ghana market within hopefully the next few months. And I think that is my cue. Thank you.
Thank
Questions?
you so much. It was fascinating. Thank you so much. I think I'll give the floor to Ayelet Levinkar to some final words and to the summing of the whole seminar.
Well, thank you very much, Maria. I want to just mostly say thank you. It has been a while since we started this journey, and we had a break in the middle, but it was definitely a very interesting and informative journey, at least for me. And I'm sure also for our colleagues here in Ghana. Ghana is now under the leadership of the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, is taking a really very brave and really amazing plan to bring the healthcare system in Ghana to the next stage by creating these new hospitals. This is a very ambitious plan, and could be, we feel privileged to partner with the Secretariat, which is managing this operation, and be able to give and share from our own experience in Israel. We hope that this will be useful in the process that, as Edwin mentioned, is already ongoing here in Ghana. Of course, at least from our perspective here at the Trade and Economic Commission in Accra, this series is basically an invitation for discussion and an invitation for collaboration, and further discussions could be facilitated with any of the presenters, whether it's companies or experts that we're talking throughout the 4 sessions. And of course, we are happy to facilitate any request of that sort as the project moves on from planning to construction and to actually, procurement and trainings and so on. So we are here, and I want to thank Maria and from Seed Israel for partnering on this really a great series of sessions. I think it was, I'm happy that they are also recorded, so we will be able to also share the recording with the network of the professionals that are working on this project here in Ghana, and of course to continue this collaboration. Maybe at this point, Maria, it could be also a good opportunity to ask for some concluding words from our partners here in Ghana, Dr. Akon, and of course from the Secretariat of the Agenda 111, Emma, and if I don't know who's here from the Secretariat. So thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Ayelet. I would like to invite Ama Adumante from Agenda 111 for some summary words. Ama, can you hear us?
Hello.
Hi.
I was just taking a minute to put on my video. I would also like to say thank you also very much. It's been a bit an insightful training session. I have benefited a lot from hearing some of the presentations, and I'm sure my colleagues all across board have too. And I think I noticed that participation went a bit low for this final session, and I'm sure it's because of the break, but I'm definitely hopeful that future collaborations will give us more. So thank you all so very much and have a nice day.
Thank you so much, Anna. And I would like to invite Dr. Charles Akon from Mango Kids to say a few words. Dr. Charles, are you with us?
He might have left already, so maybe we'll conclude here.
Thank you so much, everyone, for taking part in this less than final session. We'll send out the presentations and the recording as well for your convenience.
And of course, if anybody has any comments or that they want to either, say right now, write on the chat or email us privately, we are very, very open to make this, like I mentioned, the ongoing discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Bye.